Welcome to Military Broadcast Radio.
Every view, every listener, and every share helps our mission.
Every donation helps keep military broadcast
On the air. Every donation makes a difference. Thank you for your support. mbradio.us.
Good morning. Welcome to the world of conscious positive thinking with MJ, where your thoughts become your power and your mindset becomes your compass. MJ is here to guide you through a journey of self-awareness, emotional mastery, and empowered living.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Yeah, man. Just feel it. Let it flow. Peace and love in the air, you know. Woke up with the sun on my face. Breathing deep in this holy space. Feeling good, no need to race. The rhythm of life moves at its pace. Good vibes rise like smoke in the sky. Love in our hearts, no need to ask why. Dance with the trees, sing with the breeze. The world of conscience puts the mind at ease. Colors swirl in my open mind. Truth and joy in the thoughts I find. A smile's the cure, a word's the key. Positive thinking sets you free. Good vibes rise like smoke in the sky.
Man, I just love that song. Good morning. Welcome to the world of conscious positive thinking. I am your host, MJ, right here on the beautiful Military Broadcast Radio, bringing it to you every Monday. And I'm so happy to be here because my friend Joel, he's here with me today. He's in that back. He's on TikTok. So wherever you're listening, he's on those controls today. Good morning, sweet Ava. And today I am so happy because today we finish the 4-part series of The Consciousness of Humanities. Yes, it will be a book. It's coming out. It's going to be very much in detail. So we try to minimize these 4 series. And it's just philosophies that have pattern and have been known to help quite a few. And so I thought that it would be a good thing for me to start publishing some of the things that I do behind the scenes here at MBR. Okay. Now, when we start these, I got to tell you what the message of the day, because I usually do this for myself, but when I'm here, I want to include you. So today is August the 10th. Happy birthday to my grandson, Peyton. And he is a whopping 10 today. God rest his soul. I'll be seeing him in September. But yet, today, that number, Peyton, it's an 8. It resembles an 8, 8, 10, 26. It's numerology or angel number 8, and it's highly a fortunate number because it's infinite. 8 means infinite, just like that Lionsgate the other day. So the angels are bringing you this sign to reassure you that abundance on all levels is your birthright. Allow the angels to connect with you in an infant flow of abundance and prosperity from the angelical vault of heaven. Today, our angel power word is self-appreciation. Wow, doesn't that seem fitting for the finale of The Consciousness of Humanities? I love how they just work out. And we also have the number 81. The 2 key spiritual principles of abundance are gratitude and self-appreciation. The angels remind you that it is a paramount for you to feel good about who you are and contributions that you bring to the world. As you acknowledge yourself with appreciation, you allow the doors of the universe of abundance to open for you. Our angel numbers also contain the number 10 today. So you're surrounded with love and light from the angels. They are asking you to maintain an attitude of gratitude. This positivity will assist your visualizations to manifest quickly into form. And then lastly, we always know this one, our year is 26. It is the infinite eight. Isn't it funny how eights keep showing up here in this energetics of these energetic waves from our universe. So the angels know that you feel empowered when you feel compassion for others. How now that they ask you to feel the same compassion for yourself. It is very important for you to say no to requests that make you feel uneasy. It's okay to say no. Trust these sensations in your body as these are your inner compass. That is our angel message of the day. So now we're going to get back to the world of conscious positive thinking, which we call 2CAP. And we are doing the age of awakening right here. So today we're arriving at that fourth part, the final part. I know my mother's probably listening because she likes to read the back of the books before she does anything else. So this was a little frustrating for her. However, she has to get over it. She will. And so I know how people are like, but MJ, you're not answering questions. And I want to address that. They're not mine to answer. They're yours. I found patterns. I found instruments. I found ways. So if you understand the pondering questions, we go within. Not that I won't assist you because this is how I came to this realization to begin with that it was working. The philosophy was working to go back into a higher vibration, to back into creation and being able to help ourselves heal that way. So the journey has been really an extraordinary one for me, trying to put my pieces together. And together today, we're going to explore that age of entitlement that we did 3, 4 weeks ago, asking when gratitude quietly became expectation. And then we traveled right to the art of anxiety, where we pondered about fear and faith, survival, and the extraordinary relationships between the human mind and the human spirit. Now we're going to enter our last week was really long, it was almost 3 hours, but it's the biggest meat part of the book. And that was called The Art of Division, asking one of humanity's oldest questions. When did being different become a reason to become divided? That was a very long one. No blames. I don't ever hear blames in my books or in my talks. So it is just something to contemplate, to ponder upon, and maybe think about how you are reacting to some of those things. Now, throughout all of those conversations, we had discovered something remarkable in that. And every road seemed to lead back to one place. Can anybody name it when you were watching? Anybody out there? It was patterns. Patterns within ourselves, patterns within our families, patterns within our communities, patterns throughout history, patterns throughout nature, patterns throughout creation. Today, I invite you to take one final step with me, not outward, inward. I want everybody to go inward today because I believe awakening does not begin when the world changes. Awakening begins when our awareness changes us. Before we continue that, I also want to ask you to take a few more questions, not because I have your answers, because perhaps your own answers have been patiently waiting inside of you to be explored. So, here we go. Are you more aware of your surroundings today than you were in the last 5 to 6 years? Do you notice humanity differently? Do you listen differently? Do you observe the world with greater curiosity? Have the events of recent years caused you to pause and ask questions that you had never considered before? Think back. Just take a moment. Think about those. When much of our world slowed down, when routines completely stopped, when schedules disappeared, when many of us found ourselves alone with our own thoughts. What happened within you? Did you pray more? Did you meditate more? Did you reconnect with your family during that time? Did you spend more time in nature? Did you read? Did you create? Did you laugh? Did you cry? Did you become anxious? Did you spend hours scrolling through social media just searching for some type of certainty, some type of outcome? Or did you simply become quiet enough to hear yourself think? Same event we all went through, the world. Millions of different experiences, millions of different choices, and millions of different opportunities, and millions of different outcomes. That has always fascinated me because throughout this entire series, I have shared with you my own personal philosophies. Not to convince you that I'm right, not to demand agreement, simply to invite you to ponder alongside of me for your own journey. Because I believe that every event has a purpose, and every purpose invites awareness. And awareness, my friends, invites that learning. And learning depends upon healing. Healing then understands what has happened, and that understanding restores our balance. So, our balance creates our contentment, and then our contentment elevates consciousness. And an elevated consciousness transforms the next choice we make. Because here comes the next event. Everything begins with one extraordinary gift. Does anybody want to take a guess out there what that might be? Free will. There it is. Free will. Our will gives us our choice, and every choice creates an event, and every event becomes an opportunity. And then that opportunity is to be observed, to learn, to heal, to understand, to grow. So perhaps that is one of creation's greatest gifts for humanity. Not that life becomes easy, it's that every experience carries the possibility of expanding our awareness. Are you becoming aware? I also believe something else. I believe every human being decides what perfection means for themselves. Not because truth changes, because each soul, each one of us understands life through its own experiences. I can't even fathom somebody else's experiences, you know, if I didn't make that choice. It wouldn't be a choice maybe I would have made or wouldn't have made. Understand that? Okay. What I once believed to be perfection at 20 years old is not what I understand today. The events changed, the lessons changed, and my awareness changed. They all changed me. Perhaps perfection is not arriving at one final destination. Perhaps perfection is found in the willingness to continue learning. As I have shared throughout all of this series, I believe that we are continuously inviting into awareness through patterns. Some people recognize a pattern immediately. Some pause and quietly say, huh, I, I, I never looked at it like that. Some might smile and whisper, wow. Where the heck was that? Some resist every invitation the event offers, and some they just move through the experience like completely unaware that there was even a lesson that was to be present, while others struggle. Hmm. I don't judge any of those responses. I honor them because I believe every soul awakens in its own time and every soul learns through its own experiences. Every soul carries its own purpose, life purpose, soul purpose. Very first episode. My personal philosophy is that creation continuously represents opportunities of awareness. It's a cycle, it's a pattern. Not because God demands perfection, because divine love patiently invites us toward greater understanding. Wow. Hmm. Perhaps what we often call life interpretations, creation calls invitations. An invitation to pause, an invitation to observe, an invitation to become aware, an invitation to learn, an invitation to heal, an invitation to understand, and an invitation to restore balance. Not because we are forced, because we choose to. And perhaps that choice is where awakening actually begins within us, you. So, for much of my life, I have pondered one question. If you know me, why? 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 Oh, my poor parents. Why? Why does humanity continually repeat the same struggles? Why do civilians rise and fall? Civilizations rise and fall. Why do families repeat patterns across generations? And why do relationships continually teach similar lessons? And why do we keep encountering familiar events wearing different faces? Huh, there's something. There's something. So, the answer that continually comes into my heart is simple. Creation speaks through patterns. I know someone's out there going, MJ. I listen. I didn't mock any philosopher and I'm not going to mock my own. I believe this. I believe it because I've watched it. I've seen it. I've healed others. I shouldn't say I healed them. I assisted in their healing. Not because God keeps repeating himself. That's not what this is about. Because humanity keeps encountering the invitation until the awareness transforms our participation within it. Hmm. Perhaps the language of creation has always been patterns. The season patterns comes every single year, 4 times a year. The tides, they come in and out like clockwork, right around the moon gravities. The sun rising, the sun setting, our breath of air, our heartbeat, the moon, the stars, the seed becoming the tree, the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. Patterns, these are patterns. Everything within creation moves through recognizable patterns. Why would humanity be any different? Perhaps our thoughts create the patterns. Our choices create the patterns. Our families create the patterns. Our communities create patterns. Our civilization in whole create patterns. Not because creation desires repetition. Oh, no, no, no. Mm-mm. I believe because patterns become the classroom where awareness is invited. Maybe creation is infinitely patient, not demanding, simply asking humanity. Have you seen that yet? And perhaps that one day humanity smiles back and quietly answers, yes, yes. Now I understand. That is where I believe the age of awakening begins. Folks, I got to take a break. You're listening to mbradio.us. I am MJ here on the station with my show, The World of Conscious Positive Thinking. And we are finishing up a 4-part series called The Age of Awakening. When we come back, we're going to go right into part 1, Awakening to the Pattern. But let's hear what Beaker has to say this morning. He's so cute. We'll be right back.
You're stronger than you know and braver than you feel, one waddle at a time.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. That Beaker. And yes, if you haven't seen, I'm so proud. My husband has become a sponsor with his photography on military broadcast radio. He is actually a PCCG, and I could not be any more happier and proud of the connections with the military that he has and supporting this channel. So thank you so much for that one. Okay, let's get back to part 4, the Age of Awakening. And we're here right now at Awakening to the Pattern. So as we continue our journey together here, I want to invite you to ponder another question. I know I always have questions. I'm the wire. So, what if awakening is not becoming someone new? Ooh, that's deep. What if that happened? What if awakening is remembering our relationship with God, the creation? Mm, deep. Throughout my life, one question has continuously guided me. Why? 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 And why? Not because I question God. Absolutely not. I have so much faith. It's because I believe that there had to be a greater awareness behind every event. Why do families repeat similar struggles? Why do relationships continue teaching familiar lessons? Why do civilizations rise and eventually disappear? And why does humanity continue encountering the same invitations while wearing different faces, different cultures, and different periods of history? Okay. So, for many years, I I started to research this. For my experiences, the things I've gone through, the people I have encountered in healing sessions, our circles, I searched then to see these patterns. And I went through histories. I went through religions. I went through spiritualities. I went through sciences. I went through psychologies. I went through philosophies. And then through my own, like I said, my own experiences. And then something just remarkable began revealing itself. That every path seemed to describe a pattern. I'm a Y girl and I'm a trigger girl. So patterns are keep flashing. They're like a flashaboo at me, right? Different vocabulary, different perspectives, and different conclusions. Yet, continuously returning to reoccurring observations. And that fascinates me because it led me to another question. And as I start to ponder, then I start to go down that, some of these holes. What if creation itself speaks through patterns? Look around you. We already said it. The seasons repeat. The tides respond to the moon. The heartbeat follows a rhythm. Breath enter, breath leaves. Seeds become trees. Trees bear fruit. Fruit carries seeds. So there's the round robins, right? The sunrise greets the morning. The sunset welcomes the evening. Everything with creation expresses itself through recognizable patterns. Why would humanity be any different? My personal philosophy is that humanity also lives through these patterns. Not because God forgot about that, or hey, it's not God's like, oh shit, yeah, no, they're down. No. It's like, hey, did you forget us? No, that's not right. Not because creation desires endless repetition because it's lazy. No, that's not why either. We're going to cancel that one out, right? But that we don't make sense with that one. Yet, maybe it's plausible that patterns are just one of the languages through which creation itself invites humanity into that greater awareness. Plausible. I'm getting somewhere. Every pattern becomes another invitation. An invitation to observe, an invitation to learn, an invitation to heal, an invitation to understand, an invitation to restore balance. I also believe humanity has been given one extraordinary gift, and you got it, free will. Free will does not always choose an event. Yet free will always participates in how we meet that event. Our free will gives us choice. And every choice creates an event. And every event invites awareness. Awareness invites learning. Learning invites the healing. And healing deepens understanding. And understanding completely restores our balance. Balance creates contentment. And contentment, it elevates our consciousness. And elevated consciousness transforms how we meet that next pattern or that next event. The pattern remains, the consciousness evolves. Perhaps that is just one of creation's greatest miracles. Not removing the classroom, but helping us grow within that classroom. Because for many years, I personally believed the question was, why did that happen to me? So egoic. Today, I ask a different question. What is this event inviting me to understand? That single question transformed my relationship within my life. Why? Because I stopped seeing events only as obstacles to me, and I began seeing them as invitations for all. Now, let me share something that I also think is important when I speak about invitations. I am not saying that every event feels joyful. I am not saying every experience is easy, because it's not. It is not. We all have gone through tears. We've all gone through the deep, crushing heart emotions. Every human being experiences life differently. My deep, heavy heart emotion may not be somebody else's invitation for an event. So the same event may awaken compassion in one person, but yet resentment in another. Does that make sense? So it could also strengthen another or weaken another or leave someone just completely unchanged. That event doesn't even bother them. They feel nothing. Perhaps what many of us experience as suffering is not only that event itself. Perhaps it's the continuing relationship with an event whose invitation has not yet reached our heart. Hmm. When understanding reaches our heart, something magical changes. The memory may remain, the experience remains, the wisdom remains. Yet, our participation within that event changes. To me, that's healing. Healing does not erase an event of yesterday. Healing transforms how consciousness carries yesterday into tomorrow. That is why I no longer ask whether an event was good or bad. I ask, what awareness was quietly waiting within that event for you or for me? Ask yourself that. If you're in an event right now where you're having something that's upsetting you or a low or negative, ask yourself, what awareness was quietly waiting within this event for myself or others? Most of the time, we need to worry about us because there's free will. As I continue to ponder that question, another awareness quietly arrives. Patterns are not only found in nature, patterns are also found in humanity. Think about raising a child. One of the greatest principles of child development is consistency. Not because consistency controls the child, because consistency creates a pattern through which learning becomes possible for the child. Families develop patterns. Communities develop patterns. Schools develop patterns. Religions develop patterns. Cultures, nations, and humanity, of course, develops these patterns. Some patterns create unharmony, but eventually some would create an imbalance. Yet every pattern presents humanity with the same extraordinary gift: free will. Back to free will. At some point, every person begins asking, does this pattern still create balance? Maybe that's what we're into right now. Maybe some of the patterns are no longer balanced. Sometimes we continue it, sometimes we transform it, and sometimes we lovingly just release it. We don't need this anymore, right? That's not rebellion, folks. That is awareness. That is what we call that. Because throughout the series, we have explored how humanity changes. The values of one generation become different from the next one. Parents lovingly share what they can understand. Children grow, experience life, they question, they learn, they transform. Then they offer a new understanding to the next generation. I know how many of us in Gen X, I am not going to do what my parents did. I am not going to kick or hit my children. I am not going to X, Y, and Z, right? We all have those things in a generation that we want to get rid of, cut out, and then we move on. Perhaps humanity is not abandoning its past. Perhaps humanity is participating in the evolution of consciousness in a collective. Wow, that's deep. Every generation becomes both student and teacher. Every generation inherits patterns. Every generation transforms patterns. And every generation offers new awareness. And perhaps, just perhaps, creation patiently smiles as humanity continues learning. My personal philosophy is that humanity evolves not only as individuals, humanity evolves collectively. As enough awareness begins emerging, humanity enters another invitation. A pattern remains, a lesson deepens, consciousness expands. Not everyone awakens simultaneously. Not everyone learns the same lesson. And not everyone reaches awareness through the same experiences. I honor every soul's journey to learn, to become aware, to observe that invitation. I because if I can honor that, I believe every soul awakens through its own relationship with God the creation. Then another awareness came into my heart, and three simple words became very, very obvious: balance or fade. Not as punishment, not as fear, not as rejection, as the language of creation. Look at evolution of our own earth. Look what anthropologists and paleontologists are digging up. Balance or fade. Every creation continuously seeks relationships, and everything continuously seeks a balance. The earth changes, oceans change, forests change, species have changed, civilizations have risen, and civilizations have faded. Human understanding changes. It becomes evolve. Everything participates in creation's continuously movement towards balance. Too much of something, here comes creation, balancing the systems. Maybe this is why civilizations changed. You always hear me say, we stopped bludgeoning our firstborns, right? It's changed. Maybe that is why ages changed. Throughout the ages, something new in every generation, every decade. Maybe that's why humanity changes to continue to evolve. Not because God abandoned yesterday, and not because humanity became capable of learning tomorrow. It's not what I'm saying. Perhaps it's every age is not simply measured by years. Perhaps every age is measured by consciousness. What about that? There are some people who say time doesn't exist. Time is nothing. And perhaps the age of awakening is not the beginning of a new humanity. Perhaps it is humanity remembering what creation has been patiently revealing all along. That every event, every relationship, every catalyst, every invitation, every pattern has quietly just been guiding us toward one place. Does anybody want to guess what that one is? Balance. It's about balance. And when balance reaches the heart, consciousness expands. Perhaps, just perhaps, that is where awakening truly begins. I'm going to let you think about that. That was a lot. When we come back, I got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go right into the part 2 of our last section here of Age of Awakening. And we're going to figure out purpose, catalysts, and the collaboration of souls. We'll be right back.
Dream big, start small, but most of all, start.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Okay, here we go. We're going into part 2. So throughout now my life, another question continuously presents itself, which is, why do certain people enter our lives? You ever thought of that? Chinese says, oh, it's the red string, right? Soul connection is you've already met those people. Other people are say, well, they're there as a catalyst, so you can learn an event or an invitation. So, how do we ever meet someone? No, let me go back. Have you ever met someone and felt though that you had known them forever, for a very long time, but you didn't? Have you ever encountered another person who challenged every belief system you have ever held? You say red, they say black. Or you say white, they say black. You say oil, they say water. That's the type of thing. Have you ever loved somebody so deeply only to discover they became one of your greatest teachers? Why? Why? Who set that up? Was it a coincidence? By chance? Random chemistry? Or is there something greater quietly unfolding before us? My personal philosophy has led me to yet another understanding. I believe every soul has purpose, not identical purpose, unique purpose. Just as every tree within a forest has its own place, every soul contributes something to the whole of creation. I also believe no soul exists alone. Creation is collaboration. Nothing within nature exists independently. Nothing. The flower depends on the bee. The bee depends on the flower. The tree depends on the soil. The soil depends on the countless organisms beneath the surface we don't even see. The ocean depends upon the moon, and the moon influences the tides. Everything exists within relationships, including humans. So why would humanity be any different, right? We can't be. We are a relationships. Everything's about relationships. Perhaps too are living within such a magnificent collaboration, not simply of bodies, but of souls, our beautiful souls. My personal philosophy is that every person who enters our lives becomes part of that overall collaboration. Some arrive to encourage us, some arrive to inspire us, some arrive to protect us, some arrive to challenge us, some arrive to awaken us, and some arrive to become what I call catalysts. A catalyst changes something within you, me, and them by initiating transformation. Perhaps the people who have challenged us most deeply in our lives were never placed there to simply create pain. That's not why. People think it. How many times? My hateful shrew. I hate them. I don't like them. Blah, la, 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 la. Go down that rabbit hole. But we already did that. That was hello, you hateful shrew. You can go back to that one. But perhaps the people who have challenged most deeply were never placed into our lives simply to create that pain. Perhaps they became catalysts that revealed something within ourselves that we had not yet recognized to heal or to understand, to become aware. That thought changed my life because I stopped asking, why did you do that to me? And why did this one do that to me? And then I began asking, what awareness entered my life because this person crossed my path? What do I have to learn? Notice that question does not remove accountability. It does not excuse abuse, and it does not ask to remain in harmful situations. Period. I don't want you to go there, okay? Healthy boundaries remain acts of love. Justice remains important, and truth remains important. Compassion does not eliminate responsibility, yet, compassion does change the heart from which we understand the event. There's something that happens between this and here, right? There's something. For many years, I believed awakening meant changing other people. Today, I believe awakening begins by observing what another person awakens inside of me. That awareness transforms everything because eventually I just realized perhaps every relationship is holding up a mirror. How many people like mirrors? Some mirrors reveal our strengths, some reveal our fears, some reveal our wonder, and some reveal our gifts. Some reveal the love we never realized that we carried, while others reveal the places within ourselves that still is asking to be healed. Perhaps the catalyst never came to define us. Perhaps the catalyst just came to reveal us. And maybe, just maybe, we have also been catalysts in someone else's journey. Have you ever stopped to consider that? Think about it. How many people have crossed your path in this lifetime because your presence awakened something within them? Perhaps you never even knew. Maybe they didn't even know. A kind word, a difficult conversation, a disagreement, a moment of forgiveness, a smile, a goodbye, a lesson, an act of courage, a moment of compassion. Every interaction becomes another event, and every event becomes another invitation. Perhaps this is why I believe that humanity is just a big large collaboration and a tapestry that we weave. We are continuously becoming catalysts for one another's awarenesses, not because we planned every detail with certainty. No, no. Things happen and they pop up. Think about it. You can ponder it on your own. Because every relationship becomes another opportunity for consciousness to grow. So, this understanding really softened my heart because instead of asking who's right, we began asking, what is that relationship inviting both of us to understand? It takes two, not just one. It takes one to throw the pebble, but it takes the other one to send the ripples. So sometimes the answer is love, and sometimes the answer is forgiveness, and sometimes the answer is boundaries, and sometimes the answer is heal and let go, and sometimes the answer is simply gratitude. Gratitude for someone who entered our lives exactly when they were needed the most, even if we did not recognize it until years later. Then another awareness quietly entered my heart. If I believe that every soul has purpose and every relationship carries purpose, then perhaps humanity itself is participating in something far greater than any one individual can see. Perhaps every meeting, every goodbye, every celebration, every disappointment, every reunion, every loss, every beginning, and every ending is just another thread being woven into that beautiful tapestry again of creation. And perhaps no thread exists without purpose. That does not mean every thread is easy. Some are woven with tears. Some are woven with gut wrenching anguish. Some through joy. Some through uncertainty. Some through laughter. Yet, together, man, together, they create something no single thread could ever become by itself. Perhaps that is humanity. Not separate stories, one magnificent tapestry. There's no eyes, unless it's I am, and that's the consciousness. So, woven together by countless souls, learning, growing, awakening together. And perhaps that greatest catalyst of all, is right here. It's love. Because when awareness finally reaches the heart, we no longer ask, why did this happen to me? We begin asking, how can this experience help me become a greater expression of love? Man, when we can pull ourselves out of the self-egoicness, we become heart-bound into love. And perhaps that is the collaboration creation has been inviting us into all along. I'm going to let you ponder on that before I go into part 3, the heart of creation. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take another break. You're listening to mbradio.us on the station. I have a show, and you're listening to it called The World of Conscious Positive Thinking. It's here every Monday at 9. And we are a 501c3. We enjoy our listeners. We enjoy giving our voice a stream that we could be heard. And we accept all kinds of donations if you are loving what you see. So we're going to go take another break with our mascot Beaker and see what he's up to. Stay tuned.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. That Beaker, I love him. And go to mbradio.us website, or you can get the app and you can go ahead on there and scroll if you want Beakers. I know that we have our mascots up for sale. You can go ahead and put your order in. We also have coloring books of Beaker for the kids or for adult coloring, because adult coloring makes us meditate, makes us go within, and makes us source some of these beautiful pondering questions. So stay tuned to MBR. There's so many beautiful DJs out there and podcasters on this station that deliver messages that can unite and balance all of us. Okay, here we go. Throughout the series, I've shared many of my personal philosophies, but today I'd like to share something much more personal, not because my story is more important than yours, but because perhaps within my story, you may recognize pieces of your own, right? So people often ask me, what happened to you? Meaning me personally, right? What happened to you? Some are my family. Some are long life friends. And some are even people who have known me for decades, classmates, right? Acquaintances. Remember a very, very different Mary Jo. They remember a soldier, a woman who is extremely direct, disciplined, protective, authoritative. If I believed something threatened those that I loved, I responded immediately and without due recourse. Straight on. I defended, I confronted, and I removed what I believed no longer belonged in my life or no longer served a purpose for my loved ones. Some people admired that strength. Others experienced it as very intimidating. Some called me militant. Some called me harsh. Others simply smiled and said, "That's just Mary Jo. She has a good heart." And they're right. I did have a good heart. That was the Mary Jo that they knew. She was exactly who she needed to be for that season and purpose of my life. Then came God, the Creator, and creation presented me with events that I would never expected as I grew. Military injuries, disabilities, bankruptcies, divorces, near-death experiences, major losses by hurricanes, major losses from death. Questions that had no immediate answers. Events I never would have chosen, almost as if they chose me. Or did they? For a long time, I searched for the reasons. Not because I was angry with God, because I believed there had to be a why, an awareness hidden somewhere within every experience I had to go through. Why? Slowly, my questions changed. My awareness changed. My understanding changed. My healing for myself changed. And eventually, my heart changed. And then that is when I began recognizing something that I had never seen before. Patterns. these patterns. I don't want to say these damn patterns, but I can't. Because it's the patterns within my own life, patterns within my own family, patterns within my relationships, patterns throughout humanity, and patterns throughout creation itself. Those patterns did not condemn me. They invited me. Oh, how honored was that? They invited me to become more aware. They invited me to understand differently. And they invited me to love differently. Today, people from my past sometimes begin finishing my sentences before I could even speak them. Not because they're being disrespectful, because they sincerely believe they still know the woman they met years ago. Think about that. When you say, "Oh, I know her through and through," or "I know him through and through." Trust me, I know them. And you almost can mimic them. This is where I'm at. They remember how I used to think, how I used to respond, how I used to defend, and how I used to see the world. I was a no bullshit type of girl. I was always honest, always truthful, but I was going to cut the bullshit. That's how I saw it in my youth, in my early 20s. Sometimes now, these people who answer me, they pause. Why? Because when I look at them and I said that that's not what I was going to say, they'll pause, they'll laugh. Sometimes they even simply just look at me in silence. It's usually a very different answer I was going to say now than what they thought. So I just smile and I quietly say, I love you and I thank you for loving the Mary Jo I once was. And thank you for honoring her. I don't get mad anymore because it was their human experiences and my choice and my will of who I was. I must honor that life purpose. Because that Mary Jo, she carried me through experiences I needed to live. She taught me courage. She taught me discipline. She taught me resilience and she taught me survival. Yet creation continued presenting invitations, and those invitations continue changing me. Why? I do not reject the woman I once was. I honor her. I love her. Without her, I would not be standing and sitting here today discussing consciousness back into creation. I needed her to teach me. I needed my beautiful acquaintances, friends, families. I needed them to love her and know her. She was not wrong. She simply had not yet lived the lessons that would eventually open up my heart. Same person, just becoming aware of consciousness. You understand? That realization transformed everything in my being. Everything. Because I stopped measuring people by the chapter I first met them in. I began wondering, how much of their story have I not yet seen? And then the journey begins by observing, by becoming aware. Perhaps every one of us is becoming someone new through the events we are living today. Perhaps we are all just unfinished stories. I'm smiling because my mother, my cheerleader, she said, I just want to read the back of the book first. I can't stand the suspense. But perhaps every one of us who is becoming someone new through the events that we always live today, we can't read the back of the book. Perhaps we are just all the unfinished stories and there's no ending of that book until we go back to creation. And that's a hard one. If you figure that one out, Mommy, you let me know. That thought filled me with such compassion because I realized something else. If I could just change this much, why couldn't everyone else? Maybe they don't know how. Perhaps every soul is learning. Some become aware very quickly once somebody lights that light bulb on. Some move slowly because they can't comprehend it. Some through joy because they're excited to relieve the anguish or the anxieties. And some through hardship, fighting and struggling every step of the way because their ego won't let go. Some through quiet reflections, they go within, they meditate. They ask to create that link between creation, God, and I, right? Others through profound disruptions. I no longer compare journeys, I just honor them. They're not mine to judge. It is their choice, their will. And so for them, I send them healing. I send them everything I possibly can for them to get through that event. Another awareness quietly arrived. I realized that every lesson eventually asked the same question. Has this experience reached my heart yet? Remember, I said yet. The mind can remember information. The mind can debate ideas. The mind can collect knowledge. The mind can become incredibly intelligent. Old philosophy, baby boomers, I'm sure you heard it. Even some Gen X's. God didn't put a head on your shoulders not to use it. Wow. Right? Yet I still discovered that understanding alone does not complete the lesson. You can understand it, but it doesn't complete it. The lesson becomes whole when understanding reaches healing, because by healing, we become balanced, and then it goes and reaches the heart. The heart transforms knowledge into wisdom. The heart transforms judgment into compassion. The heart transforms reaction into awareness. And the heart transforms survival into service. For me, that is where the higher consciousness begins for me. Not because I know more, because I love differently. I believe every purpose eventually seeks the same destination. What is it? The heart. The heart. Not sentiment, not emotion alone. The heart as the center where love and order come into balance, where truth and compassion stand together, where strength no longer needs overpowering, where courage no longer needs to prove itself, and where awareness becomes a way of living. Today, I no longer measure my life by titles. If you know me in the past, probably in the last 25, 30 years, when they were trying to put owner on my title and I get so mad, I'd say, take that off. Or they would put CEO. I'd say, take it off. My name is Mary Jo. That's my title. My name is Mary Jo. I'm or MJ. My title. I am the title. You are your title. Title is categorizing, dividing, separating. People say, MJ, it's an awareness. It's an honor. I got my doctorate. I got my, right. Even Reverend, right? Sometimes I put it and I'm like, it doesn't feel right. Because I am the I am Christ consciousness in my heart. I am just the person I was brought up to be, and they labeled me Mary Jo. And that's who I am. My titles, my accomplishments, my recognitions, they're for me. They shouldn't be for you. They're for me. But wait, yes, I understand. If I don't say plumber or I don't say something, how are people going to find me? I get it. So I quietly ask myself one question. Has the experience opened up my heart more than it's closed it? For these accomplishments, these recognitions, these titles, because I wanted to venture. I wanted it. And the answer is yes. Then I believe that I have honored the invitation that creation placed before me. Not perfectly, consciously. Because I believe every event, every catalyst, every relationship, and every pattern has been patiently guiding me toward one place, the heart. And perhaps, just the heart has been the doorway to higher consciousness all along. But man was taught by man to use our head, not our heart. I'm going to move into a collective awakening. As a collective awakening, as we have journeyed now together through this series, this four-part series, I have often asked you to ponder humanity, tons of questions to think about, to ponder how your response. Today, I'm going to like to invite you to ponder for yourself, not about others. I want you to ponder about yourself, not because humanity is separate from you, because humanity begins with you. One heart, one choice, one event, one awareness at a time. Throughout my life, I have come to believe something very simple, that the human heart is the greatest treasure that creation ever entrusted to humanity. Yet, I also believe it is the most protected, not because the heart wishes to remain hidden, because life teaches us to protect it. Your heart organ is truly the most protected in the body. Every disappointment places another layer around it, like a vault. Every betrayal adds another layer, like a vault. Every fear, every loss, every rejection, and every unanswered question. Bolt, bolt, lock, 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 lock. Little by little, we hand away the keys to our own heart. Sometimes to people, sometimes to events, sometimes to beliefs, and sometimes to fear itself. Then, one day, we wonder why peace feels so far away. Perhaps peace never left. Perhaps the keys did. Maybe personal philosophy is that awakening, is the journey of receiving those keys back. Not by taking them from another person, by understanding the lessons that invited us to hand them to somebody else or thing, right? By understanding the lesson, we invite us to ask for those keys back, or we give back the key that we took from somebody else. Because every awareness returns another key, every forgiveness returns another key, every pattern understood returns another key, and every act of compassion returns another key. Until one day we discover something extraordinary again. The heart was never lost, it was patiently waiting under all those locks. The awareness has led me to another observation. Throughout my years of working with people, I have noticed that fear often stands between awareness and the heart. Fear, not ordinary concern, the deeper fears that quietly influence how we respond to life. Through my own experiences, I have come to recognize several fundamental fears that that repeatedly appear beneath many human struggles that come to see me. Fear of death, fear of rejection, fear of inadequacy, fear of the unknown, fear of being alone, fear of losing control, fear of pain, fear of losing what we love. Every person experiences them differently. Yet, I have often observed that when fear quietly governs our choices, the heart becomes more difficult to hear. Fear narrows our visions, the heart expands it. Fear asks, how do I survive? And the heart asks, how do I love while remaining balanced? Perhaps awareness is the bridge between those two questions because every fear carries another invitation. You get it? It's not to determine the fear, it's to understand the fear. And understanding gently restores another key inside of our heart that we have blocked out. Then another awareness came to me. Perhaps, just perhaps, we inherit more than our eye color. Perhaps we inherit patterns, patterns of survival, patterns of communications, patterns of celebration, patterns of protection, patterns of fear, and patterns of love. Patterns. Every generation responds to the events it experiences. Our grandparents lived through circumstances different from our parents. Our parents' experience a different world than we did. Our children will inherit a different world still. Every world and every generation has evolving. It's evolvement. The world evolves. Take the Great Depression. Here's an example. For many families, resources were very precious. Nothing was ever wasted. Everything was repaired, food was respected, conservation became an expression of love and survival. Those patterns served a very important purpose for that generation. Every generation develops patterns according to the event it lives. I do not believe awakening asks us to reject those patterns. I believe awakening invites us to honor them, to understand that journey, to understand why it had to be, and to understand the evolvement of becoming out of it, and to thank those who carried them so courageously. Then consciously ask which pattern continue creating balance and which patterns have completed the lesson they came to teach. To me, to me, that is what many healing traditions describe when they speak of releasing ancestral patterns. Not rejecting our ancestors, we're honoring them and we're thanking them for having to go through it. Then consciously choosing what we lovingly carry forward with us. As I continue pondering the heart, though, another awareness comes and emerges. Many spiritual traditions describe 12 beautiful qualities of the awakened heart: love, compassion, harmony, purity, understanding, empathy, clarity, joy, forgiveness, peace, kindness, unity. I do not believe we learned and earned these qualities. I don't believe that they're earned. I believe they already exist within us, sometimes hidden beneath fear, sometimes beneath disappointment, sometimes beneath inherited patterns, and sometimes beneath survival itself. Awareness does not create them, awareness remembers them. That is a difference. Perhaps every event we experience is quietly inviting one of those qualities to awaken our heart. One lesson, one relationship, one catalyst, one pattern at a time. The pebble forms a ripple. Then I return to where this entire journey has been leading, back to the heart. Not because it's weak, because it's that powerful. I believe when people speak with all kinds of lower negative, emotional, fear, anger, unjust, inhumane, they're weak. They're scared to go to their heart. They're that cold. I believe that to be because nobody has shown them way back to the heart and they have given so many of the keys away, they can't find it. Perhaps that is why it has always been so carefully protected. But to some, it is so protected, they can't find their way back. There's an old story I once heard a while ago. Not a while, just it's been. And I no longer remember who first told it. I've heard it different times, I've heard it many times. And the story kind of changes, but the meaning still stays the same. However, the story goes that it asks where creation would hide the greatest treasure of life. Some suggested the highest mountain, others, the deepest ocean, and others, the furthest star. Then another answer quietly emerged. Hide it where humanity was searched last, within the human heart. Whether that story in history, metaphor, or philosophy no longer matters to me, because I've spent a lifetime watching humanity search everywhere else besides the heart. Perhaps the treasure was never missing. Perhaps awareness simply helps us remember where it has always been. And perhaps humanity does not awaken because everyone agrees. Humanity awakens because enough hearts remember balance. Okay, I need to take a break. We're going to take another quick break, and you're listening to mbradio.us. I'm MJ, and we're going to go see what Beaker's doing. Stay tuned.
Dream big, start small, but most of all, start.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
All right, folks. Part 5, here it is, the invitation of this series. As we bring the journey here to a close, I'm going to find myself returning to the same question that has quietly guided my own life. Not what has humanity become yet. What is humanity choosing to become? Okay? There's a difference. Perhaps that has always been creation's invitation. Not perfect, awareness. Not certainty, faith. Not agreement, balanced. Throughout the series, we have explored the age of entitlement, the age of anxieties, the age of division. And now, here we are, the awakening. Each chapter has invited us to observe the events of humanity through a different lens. Not to judge them, to understand them. Because every event becomes another invitation, and every invitation creates awareness. Awareness opens healing. Healing deepens understanding, and understanding restores balance, and balance opens the heart. That is my philosophy that I will take and I will use, and I implore others to ponder using it as well. Perhaps that is where consciousness has always been waiting. Some of you now are asking, where do I begin? My invitation is really simple. You do not need every answer today or tomorrow or next week. Simply begin with one event at a time. Start clearing the events that you know the skeleton still exists in your inside closet. Are you the one sweeping it underneath your feet? Are you the one sweeping it underneath your bed? Are you the ones pushing the doors closed and trying to keep the skeletons in the closet, pushing them, pushing them? Are you the one that goes, oh my God, just let it go already? Why are you bringing stuff back? Let it go. You know, I hear people, and it's funny, because when you look at them who say that, they're unhealed themselves. They didn't balance anything. They chose not to understand it, to not communicate, not to balance it. They chose to ignore it. And what happens when you ignore? It builds up, it builds up, and it builds up. So you don't need the answers today. The next event that brings discomfort the next event that creates frustration, and the next event that fills you with fear, pause. What do they say? Shut your boca. Pause. Quiet. Become aware. And even if you have to rescind, become aware. Then quietly ask yourself, what is this event inviting me to understand? Not who wins, not who loses, not who deserves the blame, and not, well, who did it? No, they're the wrong questions. That's man questions. Dig deeper, dig into conscious awareness, and ask what awareness is patiently waiting for me within this event. You heard me in my other one. Smile at the event because you know it's coming. We all know where there's a hiccup in relationships. We all know what we like and what we don't like. We all know what we believe was said or not said. We believe what was inferred, right? How did that hit us? Did we face ourselves? Simply ask, what awareness is patiently awaiting for me within this event? Smile, I've been expecting you. Tricks your ego into removing negative thoughts. So allow yourself to sit in those questions. Not for me, do it for yourself. Then choose one conscious act, just one. One act of kindness, one act of forgiveness, one act of compassion, one act of gratitude, one conversation that creates understanding instead of dividing. Can you do that? I know you can. I'm here to encourage you to do it. One pattern that ends with you, one pattern that creates greater balance for those who follow. It's the ripple effect. We just throw the pebble, it'll all happen. Never underestimate one conscious choice. Every balanced response creates another possibility, and every awakened heart quietly becomes permission for another heart to awaken. Would it be nice for someone to constantly awaken another piece of someone's heart every day? Every day, a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. A year, 2 years down the road, that person's going to look and go, what happened? I don't I don't see things the same anymore. I don't feel things the same anymore. You became conscious aware. You became loving through your heart. You became answering through your heart. Every balanced response creates another possibility. Every awakened heart quietly becomes permission for another heart to awaken. Perhaps this is how humanity remembers itself. One event, one understanding, one awareness, one understanding, one heart at a time. Everything that we have explored throughout this whole series is a condensed introduction of my personal philosophy. These conversations are the seeds, the deeper stories, the true experiences of life, and lifelong journeys. And the philosophy behind these ideologies will continue in my upcoming book, The Consciousness of Humanity. It is my faith that its pages will become another invitation, an invitation to reflect, to reflect upon, to question, to observe, to discover your own awareness within the patterns of your own life's journey. I agree. Some of these events or these invitations are very troublesome and we struggle. That's why we reach out to one of the branches of Western medicine, Eastern medicine, alternative medicines, miscellaneous medicines. Becoming calm, becoming balanced, and becoming aware are all things that we can do. An old philosophy is consistency in child behavior, right? Consistency, discipline, or consistency. We can have consistency in everything that decides in our will, in our emotionals. If it's wrong, if we don't like it, or it's something negative instead of a happy thought or a positive thought, we become aware. Why am I acting like this? Why am I angry? Am I dividing? Why am I anxious? Why do I feel that I deserve that? These questions, these questions are yours. I did my job. I asked because I'm the wire. Why? Why? Yet I took the I out and I collectively went with humanity. To discover your own awareness within the patterns of your life's journey. That is healing. Not because your journey is identical to mine, because every journey carries its own wisdoms, its own truths, and its own events. As we going to part today, I'm going to leave you with some final invitations, maybe to be able to assist, to live consciously, to love courageously, to observe patiently, to forgive generously, and to honor our past. Our past is our classroom. Our past classroom's teachers are what made us today. During COVID, exercise went around, and it was about finding abundance. Everybody wanted to find abundance because nobody was working. Yet, TWOCPT, who did the 21-day abundance, the first things he starts out was, you have homework every day. What else are you going to do, right? And one of the first 2 days, the first one was, list all the people you hate. Listen. Go all the way back. Day 2. Tell me what you've learned by hating all of those people. Bing. Now, what you learned became you. You became the awareness of that beautiful catalyst that you hate. They taught you something. So you need to turn that hate into gratitude. You need to turn that hate into understanding. And we need to turn that hate into awareness. We choose our next events with awareness. We protect your heart, yet never close it. Stop giving away your keys. Stop vaulting it. Because perhaps the greatest treasure creation ever entrusted to humanity has been with you all along. In fact, it was the first pattern for you to be here. That heartbeat. Nothing else forms but the heart at 6 weeks in the fetus. The heart. So perhaps the age of awakening begins the moment you remember where the keys have always been belonged. You got it in your heart. Let's figure out why we gave the keys, and let's figure out why we kept keys. Because when we're keeping keys from people's hearts and we're giving away our own keys to our own hearts, the conscious humanity cannot balance. Because consciousness comes from the heart. When we think, we use ego and judgment because we have learned consistency. We have learned patterns. I hope that makes sense. Today, just for clicks and giggles, today, write your list of your hateful people. Write them down. Write every single person who hurt you in your lifetime that you loathe. And then I want you to go back. And I want you to write why you hate that person or you loathe that person. And I'm going to take it one step further. What was your part? And don't say nothing. Everybody has a part. We cannot have any event without 2 or more people. So figure out what your part is. Figure out then, when you go through this, how you feel today about that person. What awareness did they bring? How did you change? If you change by saying, I hate all men because men cheated on me, you have not learned. If I say women are all women betray, you have not learned. If you say, I don't know, all Democrats are socialists, you have not learned. All Republicans are thieves, you have not learned. Do you understand? Where we have the hiccup is where we need to use our heart, is where we need to become aware. And where we become aware, we have to learn. And we must learn, whether we look it up, whether we find facts, whether we talk it out, whether we give no power to it. The people that sit in a free space in our mind creates patterns of unhealing. They're rent-free. Rent-free. But yet humanity still gives them that space. That's hard for me. That's hard to understand. And sometimes, even myself, not that I'm any better than anybody else, but I like to work out. I like to dig deep. I like to meditate. I like to find source. I like to comb through old things. I believe our answers go back to creation. I do believe this. I do believe our philosophy is of awareness. And I believe our philosophy that we talk from our heart and we find a positive consciousness in humanity will lead us back to creation. Isn't that the answers? Isn't that the answers everybody wants? Isn't that where it's at? Perhaps the greatest treasure creation has ever entrusted to humanity is the heart. It is the toughest one to reach. It is the most endearing one. Why we want to reach it. It is such a peaceful, kind, balanced place for consciousness. Love doesn't hate. Love is not unkind. Love is not jealous. Love is not boastful. Corinthians, you're right. It's probably one of the most beautiful things about love in that Corinthians. And perhaps the age of awakening begins the moment you remember where the keys have always belonged, back in the heart. So go collect your keys, folks, and return the keys that you took, because it takes two. I loved this journey, and I loved sharing it with you, and I thank you for joining me to share this journey in the consciousness of humanities. Whether your beliefs are the same as mine or beautifully different, thank you for walking beside me, not in front, not behind, not above, not below, beside. Because every respectful conversation creates another opportunity for awareness. And every awareness becomes another opportunity for balance. When I see my PTSD vets unbalanced, my goal is to show them why they are so divinely special. My goal is to help them rebalance that beautiful militant soul the same way I did. I told you my personal story. It hurts. Images always come in. Reflections of destruction, reflections of lost humanities. That hurts. The disabilities of trying to help and assist love of God, of mankind, and country hurts. And for the people out there who can't quite understand a Templar or that beautiful heavenly army of St. Michael, those today who honoring and put those clothes on, it saddens me. It saddens me that we don't find more conscious humanities for these beautiful, loved brothers and sisters of arms who serve to protect with courage, pride, and yeah, anger, to stay resilient. But when they come out, they need our help. That's why I'm here. Every Monday for 2 hours, I give you my 2 hours of time to give back as a thank you, to give back as a voice to let you know I'm here with you. I will always be here with you. If I could climb consciousness back to creation, my promise is I'll pull everybody with me as long as they want. It's your choice. Just like it was my choice. Our choices by free will allow us to climb the ladder back to creation. We just need to understand them, right? That's what philosophy is. To make it balanced for us to understand. There's no right, there's no wrong, there just is. Judgment has no warrant, in my place, nor does ego. My boundaries will be blocked. My pages will be blocked. I encourage each and every one of us to go every morning with a beautiful smile and something nice to say as soon as you wake up. That will bring you back into a higher vibration to move forward. So if somebody else is unhealed, who wants to blow a horn, give a finger, say something mean, you already started your day in a positive consciousness. And then we look at our brothers and sisters who are not healed, and we give them something positive back. Not the same treatment, something positive. Because every respectful conversation creates another opportunity of awareness. And every awareness becomes another opportunity for balance. We have an event. We become aware. We then observe. Then we start learning. Then we heal. Then we balance. And then we come to heart and await that next event. The more events that we can place in our heart to make that balance is the easier the next event comes. It's starting the ripple is the hardest part. So how about we take a smaller stone instead of a big boulder and try to take the boulder off the cliff? That's the struggle. We don't need to start there. Maybe man wants you to start there, but you don't have to. Start with a pebble and work your way. Because as that wave of that pebble, that ripple gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it'll sweep up that boulder and you won't even have to use effort to move it. Make sense? You can reach me at TWOCPT, TWOCPT, at mbradio.us if you need help, or TWOCPT at gmail.com, either one. I'm here for you like you are here for me. If you're listening and you need that help, I will always do my best to respond and to assist your healing. I'm going to give you the last 10 minutes to ponder. If you've set time 9 to 11, I'm going to give you the 10 minutes to ponder all these questions and let every awareness become another opportunity for you to balance. So for me, I'm going to continue to carry on my philosophies. I'm going to continue to carry on to reason, to learn, and to balance as many as I can in my life. It doesn't mean that I have healed all. It means I'm rescinding enough to heal all. And I can do that. So can you. Folks, may the angels guide you in your needs. And may the angels carry you home with peace, love, grace, joy, happiness, and abundance of what it is that you desire most. My name is MJ Gonzalez. Most know me as MJ. This is my station here through MBR. It's called the World of Conscious Positive Thinking. Easier said as TWOCPT, TWOCPT. And until we meet again, keep balance at the helm. And when we see each other again next week, we will start our newest series. It's 6 parts. What is consciousness? And until then, may the angels always answer every prayer. May you reach your connection to creation and balance your life to live in happy, joy, peace, and loving your neighbors and your family. See you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice.